Okay, boys and girls, it's Mrs. Pelletier again with another book by Tommy DePaula, and this book's called Strega Nona. This is probably one of the books that he's most well known for, and he won a Caldecott Award. That means that he won an award for the illustrations in this book. It's really special. And so this book takes place in Italy, and I brought a map just to show you. We are here. This little dot, there's New Hampshire, and Italy's way over here in Europe. Okay, so you have to cross the Atlantic Ocean, and it's near France, and Spain, and Italy, and Greece are all in there. Okay, so that's how far it is. I just wanted you to see where Italy is, and that's where this story takes place. So as we read this, let's think about how he illustrates these pictures and see if there are some similarities to the way he illustrates and also the way he writes from the other two stories that we just wrote. And maybe there are some differences. Strega Nona, it's called an original tale. So he made up this tale. And again, what are you noticing here? It's a little bit of an older woman with a little cap over, well, I guess like a bonnet over her head. And then there's some animals, and then there's a pot. So in a town in Calabria, Calabria is actually in Italy, and it's where his grandparents grew up, one of his grandmothers. A long time ago, there lived an old lady everyone called Strega Nona, which meant Grandma Witch. Although all the people in town talked about her in whispers, they all went to see her if they had troubles. Even the priest and the sisters of the convent went, because Strega Nona did have a magic touch. So let's think about what Tommy DePaula wrote right here. Although the people were in town talked about her in whispers, what do you think that means? They talked about her in whispers. When you whisper, you're talking really softly. So if people are talking about her in whispers, maybe they're not saying things that they want her to hear, but yet they go to her because she has this magic touch. When they have problems, they go to her. So they still engage, and see, look at here, the priest is going, and it said the sisters of the convent, these are women that work in the church, okay, they're nuns. So let's see, now here we have more cartoons. Remember, he does, and when you see a page like this, you usually look at the pictures from left to right. So you start there and you go here. So she could cure a headache with oil and water and a hairpin. So if you had a headache, she would put water, oil, and a hairpin, and people would feel better. And then she made special potions for girls who wanted husbands. That's interesting. So she would stir something in her pot, they would drink it, and they would get a husband. We'll see about that. And then she was very good at getting rid of warts. And you see there's a wart right on his nose. It's usually like almost like a pimple. And I guess she was very good at getting rid of him because he has it there. It's a little bump on his nose. And then when he leaves, it's gone. But Strega Nona was getting old, and she needed someone to help her keep her little house and garden. So she put up a sign in the town square. So here's the sign, and she's going to put it up there. So she's asking for help because she's getting older. And Big Anthony, who didn't pay attention, went to see her. "Anthony," said Strega Nona, "you must sweep the house and wash the dishes. You must weed the garden and pick the vegetables. You must feed the goat and milk her. You must fetch the water. For this, I will give you 3 coins and a place to sleep and food to eat." "Oh, grazie," said Big Anthony. What do you think grazie means? Think about that while I read the rest of the page. "The one thing you must never do," said Strega Nona, "is touch the pasta pot. It is very valuable, and I don't let anyone touch it." "Oh, see, yes," said Big Anthony. So what do you think grazie means? She's going to ask him to do all these things, but then she said, "I'm going to give you 3 coins and a place to sleep and food to eat. So he says, oh, grazie. Grazie means thank you in Italian. And he also says, oh, sì, yes, Big Anthony. Sì means yes in Italian. So he's going to do the jobs. Let's see. And so the days went by. Big Anthony did his work, and Strega Nona met with the people who came to see her for headaches and husbands and warts. Big Anthony had a nice bed to sleep in next to the goat shed, and he had food to eat. So this was good for him, and it was good for her because he was doing the work. So see, one evening when Big Anthony was milking the goat, he heard Strega Nona singing. Peeking in the window, he saw Strega Nona standing over the pasta pot. Ooh. So let's see what she did. She sang, bubble, bubble, pasta pot. Boil me some pasta nice and hot. I'm hungry and it's time to sup. Boil enough pasta to fill me up. And the pasta pot bubbled and boiled and was suddenly filled with steaming hot pasta. Wow, magic. Then Strega Nona sang, enough, enough, pasta pot. I have my pasta nice and hot, so simmer down my pot of clay until I'm hungry another day. So pasta, do you know what pasta is? Pasta is spaghetti, and this is her pot that she's boiling it in. How wonderful, said Big Anthony. That's a magic pot for sure. So she sings the song, and all of a sudden, it makes pasta. And Strega Nona called Big Anthony in for supper, but too bad for Big Anthony because he didn't get to see Strega Nona blow 3 kisses to the magic pasta pot. Why do you think Tommy DePaula wrote, because he didn't, it's too bad for Big Anthony because he didn't get to see Strega Nona blow 3 kisses to the magic pot? So she calls him in, she's got the pasta, and then she blows the 3 kisses. Think about what happens after she blows the 3 kisses. It's important because what I'm going to read later, don't forget this part, okay? It's really important to the story. So this is what happened. The next day, Big Anthony went to the town square to fetch the water. He told everyone about the pasta pot. And naturally, everyone laughed at him because it sounded so silly. A pot that cooked all by itself? You'd better go and confess to the priest, Big Anthony, they said. Such a lie. So none of the people believed him. He said, oh, this pasta pot makes pasta all by itself. And they didn't believe him. So Big Anthony was angry, and that wasn't a very good thing to be. I'll show them, he said to himself. Someday I will get the pasta pot and I'll make it cook, and then they'll be sorry. That day came sooner than even Big Anthony would have thought, because 2 days later, Strega Nona said to Big Anthony, Anthony, I must go over to the mountains to the next town to see my friend Strega Amelia. Sweep the house and weed the garden. Feed the goat and milk her, and for your lunch there's some bread and cheese in the cupboard. And remember, don't touch the pasta pot. Oh, yes, yes, Strega Nona, said Big Anthony. But inside he was thinking, my chance has come. What has his chance come? He's going to try to get that pasta pot. Let's see what happens. As Strega Nona was out of sight, Big Anthony went inside, pulled the pasta pot off of the shelf and put it on the floor. Now let's see if I can remember the words, said Big Anthony. And Big Anthony sang, bubble, bubble, pasta pot, boil me some pasta nice and hot. I'm hungry and it's time to sup. Boil enough to fill me up. And sure enough, the pot bubbled and boiled and began to fill up with pasta. So here he is singing, and now it's boiling, and it started to make pasta. Aha, said Big Anthony, and he ran to the town square, jumped on the fountain and shouted, everyone get forks and plates and platters and bowls, pasta for all of at Strega Nona's house. Big Anthony had made the magic pasta pot work. Of course, everyone laughed, but ran home to get forks and plates and platters and bowls, and sure enough, when they got to Strega Nona's, the pasta pot was so full it was beginning to overflow. Now, ask yourself right now, do you think that he should have done that? Strega Nona had asked him not to touch the pot, but he did. Well, now all the people believe him, right? Big Anthony was a hero. He scooped out the pasta and he filled the plates and the platters and the bowls. There was more than enough for all the townspeople, including the priest and the sisters from the convent. And some people came back for 2 and 3 helpings, but the pot was never empty. So 2 or 3 helpings means that they went for more. They didn't just get 1 plate, they got another and another. So everybody in the town got pasta. But when all had their fill, so that means when all had their fill, that means their bellies were full. They're so full from pasta. Big Anthony saying, enough, enough, my pasta pot. I have my pasta nice and hot, so simmer down my pot of clay until I'm hungry another day. But alas, he did not blow the 3 kisses. He didn't see her blow the 3 kisses. He only saw the song. So what do you think's going to happen? He went outside, and to the applause of the crowd, Big Anthony took a bow. He was so busy listening to the compliments from everyone that he didn't notice the pasta pot was still bubbling and boiling until a sister from the convent said, "Oh, Big Anthony, look!" And the pasta was pouring out of the pot all over the floor of Strega Nona's house and was coming out the door. Look at that. The pasta is coming out the door. What do you think the 3 kisses meant? If he blew those 3 kisses after he sang that song, I think it would have stopped cooking. But it didn't, because he didn't see that. Big Anthony rushed in and shouted the magic words again, but the pot kept bubbling. He took the pot off the floor, but the pasta kept pouring from it. Big Anthony grabbed a cover and he put it on the pot and sat on it, but the pasta raised the cover. And Big Anthony as well, and it spilled on the floor of Strega Nona's house. Oh my gosh. Stop, yelled Big Anthony. But the pasta did not stop, and if someone hadn't grabbed poor Big Anthony, the pasta would have covered him up. The pasta had all but filled the little house. Out of the windows and through the doors came the pasta, and the pot kept right on bubbling. The townspeople began to worry. "Do something, Big Anthony," they shouted. Big Anthony sang the magic song again, but without the 3 kisses, it did no good. By this time, the pasta was on its way down the road, and all the people were running to keep ahead of it. Look at that. It's pouring out of the house. So now they're afraid it's going to ruin their town. "We must protect our town from the pasta," shouted the mayor. "Get mattresses, tables, doors, anything to make a barricade." See, a barricade means they're going to block the pasta. So look at, they're putting doors where there aren't doors. They're trying to block it out. But even that didn't work because the pot kept boiling and the pasta kept coming. "We are lost," said the people. And the priest and the sisters of the convent began praying. "The pasta will cover our town," they cried. And it certainly would have, had Strega Nona not come down the road home from her visit. She didn't have to look twice to know what had happened. So what do you think that Tommy DePaula means by that? She didn't even have to look twice, and she knew what happened. Does she know what he did? Probably. She sang the magic song, and she blew the 3 kisses, and with a sputter, the pot stopped boiling, and the pasta came to a halt. See that? This, stopped. "Oh, grazie! Thank you, Strega Nona," the people cried. But then they turned on poor Big Anthony. "String him up," the men of the town shouted. They are really mad because their town almost got destroyed by the pasta. So now they want to do something bad to Big Anthony. But he says, "Now wait. The punishment must fit the crime." So the punishment must fit the crime. So she knows that he did something that he shouldn't have done. She asked him very nicely never to touch that pot. So she's saying, let's make this fit the punishment. There should be some kind of consequence. What do you think she's going to have him do? And she took a fork from the lady standing nearby and held it out to Big Anthony. All right, Anthony, you wanted pasta from my magic pasta pot, Strega Nona said, and I want to sleep in my little bed tonight, so start eating. Oh my gosh, she wants him to take the fork and he's got to eat all this pasta. And he did. Poor Big Anthony. Look at his belly. Ugh, he looks like he's going to be sick. That's a lot of pasta. So look, he's not looking too happy, but she's sleeping in her bed. So what kind of a person is Strega Nona? What do you think? If I asked you that, what kind of a personality does she have? You know, she certainly likes to help people, even though Strega Nona means, what did it say in the very beginning? Grandma Witch. She did do good things. She helped heal people. And what do you think? So she's caring and she's trusting. She trusted him. But what do you think about Big Anthony? He really didn't follow the rules, did he? And he wasn't very respectful. Do you think that he learned his lesson? Do you think that he's ever going to do that again? I think he learned his lesson. I think the punishment fit the crime. Okay, he had to eat all that pasta. It's a lot of pasta. Okay. So this is a made-up story. This isn't really about, this didn't really happen. This is what we call almost like a fairy tale. Okay, but he made it up. He made up his own tale. So again, though, we see some similarities to some of the other books that he wrote, okay, as far as the color, and see he likes to do these cartoons, these little boxes, and he framed all of his illustrations. He always puts a line around the boxes, right? Okay, so let's look here and see some of the things that we noticed. We noticed that he puts a frame around his illustrations. This story had a lesson in it, didn't it? Right? That you really should not, you need to respect other people's property. This story takes place in Italy, and Tommy DiPaolo includes some Italian words. We learned grazie and we learned si. And some of the pages look like a cartoon. So we're seeing this is a little different than the other two. The other two books were about his life. This one is a story that he made up. Okay? All right, so I hope that you enjoyed Strega Nona. Like I said, this is one of his most well-known stories. Okay?